Welcome.
Shalom.
Okay, let's get started.
How many of you have heard that the Tequfah ends the year? And how many of you have heard that the Tequfah starts the year? Well, this is a question that we have crossed many, many times, and I'd like to bring it out in the Exodus from Mitzrayim. What today's study is it's a condensed study, and what I have done is I have extracted the highlights from this in-depth study. I've extracted those highlights and I've laid it on a calendar. I would like you to realize that every one of these appointments that are recorded in the scripture, every appointment must be recorded and fit the calendar with an accuracy that is second to none. Yahuah's accuracy is, well, we as humans are not even able to comprehend this fully and completely. So when something is recorded in the scriptures, whatever calendar that you want to look at or go by, or however you must or desire to start the year, these appointments must fit that calendar. If they do not, that calendar is not worth anything, for it is not from Yahuah. So the whole point of this study today is, what day of the year is the Tequfah on? Is it on the final last day, which completes the circuit? Or is the Tequfah the very first day of the new year? Let's see what Mosheh has to say. This is a teaching from Yah's covenant calendar, and the approximate date of it is 1490 BC. Again, the Tequfah, is it first or is it last? Is the Tequfah the first cycle of the year? What does Mosheh reveal? And what does the lunar calendar reveal about its own count? What can we learn from the cloud? And no, the cloud is not the one that Google talks about. This is the cloud of Yahuah. On the first cycle, the first month in the second year, they what? What did they do on the first cycle, the first month of the second year? What was it that Yahuah commanded? And why did he command it as such? Why did he not command it on the second cycle of the first month in the second year? Is there a reason? This is one of those studies where it is good to yield to common sense a little bit. It just may be your key to knowledge and understanding. What date is the Tequfah? Is it the first day of the year or the last? And yes, you may see me repeat this question a few times because I want this to sink in. What date is the Tequfah? Is it on the day of 360 at the time of Mosheh? Or is it on number 1 of the new year? Let's look to Yahuah's light. What did Mosheh reveal through the blood-ratified Melchizedek covenant? And I put this picture here specifically because one morning I was doing my studies and I woke up and here it was at dawn, just before sunrise, and look at this sky. Light. Yahuah's sky was on fire. Let's look to the light as he commands us. The timeline from the year of the Exodus. Where does the Tequfah begin? The Tequfah, the 360th cycle of the year. If you look on your left in the yellow box, you'll see cycles of the week. If you go down that column, you'll see the numbers 1 to 7. That is your 7 days of the week. And in the middle, under the purple box, you'll see cycles of the month. This will be the numbered days of the month from 1 to 30, for each month has 30 days only on Yahuah's calendar. And then we go to the right, under the green box, you will see cycles of the year. This column is going to count out the days of the year from 1 to 360. Okay, this is the year of the Exodus. The New Year cycle on the year of the Exodus was on the fourth cycle of the week, and it was the first cycle of the first month as seen in the Exodus account, beginning in Exodus 12. Yes, it started on what we now know as a Wednesday in pagan terms, but it was the fourth cycle of the week. Following that down to the 10th day of the year, it says in the scriptures, and on the 10th day of this month, each one of them is to take for himself a lamb, Exodus 12:3, and you shall keep it until the 14th day. What is that 14th day? Well, in month number 1, we see Abib 14. That is Passover in Mitzrayim. A monumental day, an incredible, incredible day. The next day is Abib 15. That is when they exited Mitzrayim and they went and camped in Sukkot. The day after that, they camped in Etham. That is on the 16th of the month. The next day, they come to Pihahiroth and the Red Sea. Now, what happened before sunset? We know that the Egyptian or the Hebrew nation looked back. They could see the dust high in the sky from the chariots chasing them. They knew who was coming after them, and they were terrified. What did Mosheh say after he talked to Yahuah? Mosheh declared to them Yahuah's words. See the deliverance of Yahuah when? Today. Exodus 14:13. This was before sunset. And the Israelites then crossed the Red Sea on the preparation evening and night. We read that in Exodus 14:21 and 22. And the sea returned to its usual flow. When? At the break of day, with the Mitzrites fleeing into it. Exodus 14, verse 27. At the break of day was when the sea came in on the Egyptian army. That was the 17th. Now, if you go on that chart on the left-hand side, you will see that the 17th was a sixth cycle. It was a preparation day, or a Friday, as we understand it. And the word is, thus Yahuah saved Yisrael that day. Exodus 14:30. If you will note, the word yom in the Hebrew is singular. It is not yomim. It does not have a plural connection. That means that the sunset did not change the day. The day was dawn to dawn on this day. The sunset failed to change the day. And yet Yahuah had said, see the deliverance of Yahuah today. So he was in control of this day, or this 24-hour cycle, and the sunset failed to change it. And what happened the next morning? What morning was this? You look on the left, you'll see that it was the 7th day of the week. It was a 7th-day Sabbath. This was when they visualized their salvation. How did they visualize it? They saw the bodies of the Mitzrites washed up on the shore, never again to terrorize them. Salvation was visualized on the Shabbat. And what happened on the Shabbat? The ladies were up singing and dancing with their tambourines. This was a rest day. When the ladies are up singing and dancing, the men are not going to travel very far. This was a rest day. They stayed in place on the Shabbat. So the next day, which is the first day of the week, and according to Leviticus 23, this is when the Omer count pattern begins. the first day after the seventh-day Sabbath. So we're going to count this pattern out. We're going to have a look at it. And the question is, and I want you to hold me to task here, did Mosheh, did he reach Mount Sinai in time to receive the tablets on the 50-day count, Pentecost, or Shavuot, as we know it? Take me to task here. Make sure I have this correct. And you'll notice beside the black oval with the 1 in it, you'll see on the left number 7. That is the first completed Shabbat. Remember, we're supposed to have 7 completed Shabbats. No, you cannot have a half week. That Sabbath must be complete. And for it to complete a week, there must be 6 work days before it. Very, very important. What profound revelation will the second month reveal? The children of Israel they traveled into the wilderness of Shin on the 15th day of the second month. Now, I want to tell you, I worked on this study for a few years trying to figure this out, and I kept missing this verse. I kept missing it until one day I read, they came into. We cannot skip these simple little words. These words mean something, and this one is profound. They traveled into the wilderness of Shin on the 15th of the second month. What day was it? If you look on our calendar, we can tell you it is the 6th. It is a Friday, as we know in pagan terms, and it was the 15th of the month. Why is that so important? Have you noticed the very specific cycle of the week that the 15th of the second month was? It was a preparation cycle, and the next cycle was the 7th day Shabbat. Again, the children of Israel they were traveling on the wilderness or into the wilderness of Shin on the 15th day of the second month. On your right in this box, the 15th of the second month was a preparation day. What effect does this scriptural revelation have upon the lunar Sabbath calendar, which demands each and every second Shabbat of their month always and without exception must fall upon the 15th of every month? What effect does this revelation have on that calendar? Is there a conflict of calendar here? Who is your authority? Is it the Torah or is it the moon? For if we look at the 15th of this month, it was not a Shabbat as the lunar calendar demands. Again, the children of Israel came into the wilderness of Shin on the 15th day of the second month. Note that scripture provides us with a very specific date. Accuracy is paramount. Yahuah has an accuracy that we as humans cannot comprehend fully. Why am I stressing this? Because unless these dates and appointments are documented with absolute perfection on a calendar, Mosheh will not reach Mount Sinai on the right date. And ultimately, these dates with their cycles of the week would not show the correct day on which the Tequfah is going to be, at the end or at the first of the year. That is the question. So are these dates with their cycles of the week important? Yes, they are paramount. So I hope that you will watch these very, very carefully on the left. I have highlighted numbers for this specific reason. So what about the next verse? Exodus 16:2. And all the what? All the congregation. If I say the word congregation, do you picture a lineup of 1 million people and all their livestock trekking across the wilderness? Is that what we see with the word congregation? I think not. Congregation is a gathering. So what were they doing on the 7th day Shabbat? And all the congregation of Israel, of the children of Israel, grumbled against Mosheh and Aharon in the wilderness. Were they grumbling? Yes, they were grumbling big time to Mosheh. Again, the children of Israel came into the wilderness of Shin on the 15th day of the second month. And in Exodus 16:2, the congregation had gathered on the seventh day Shabbat. They were what? They were assembled. They were not traveling on the Shabbat, and they were complaining heavily to Moshe. We see that in Exodus 16:2. Why am I stressing this? Because the lunar calendar does not agree, and we're going to go into this. Will the Omer count be a witness to this Shabbat assembly? There is our Omer count. You'll notice the 3, 4, and 5. Those are your completed Sabbaths. And beside the 28, we see the fourth completed Shabbat. And yes, it is the 16th of the month. It is the day that they were assembled. Keep me to task, people. I want you to make sure that I'm not leading you astray. Follow these numbers, please. On this Shabbat assembly, Yahuah says, after they were complaining, like he heard them, he loves his children, and Yahuah took compassion, and he says through Moshe, see, I am raining bread in order to try them, whether they will walk in my law or not. Exodus 16:4. Yahuah was about to provide them with his coactive trial, which required their participation. Remember, the quail arrived that evening, and Yahuah said to them, I have heard the grumblings of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, between the evenings, or between the mixtures, you are to eat meat. Exodus 16:12a. And if you're not sure about that A, that is because it is the first half of the verse. That's why I put the A there. The second half of this verse, and in the morning, that is Boker, in the morning at dawn, you are to be satisfied with bread, and you shall know that I am Yahuah your Elohim. Exodus 16:12b, the second half of the verse. And you can also look at Exodus 16:14 and Numbers 11:9 for more information. Okay, these quail arrived on Shabbat. But I thought that we were not allowed, or that they, especially back then, were not allowed to cook food. They were to be prepared before the Shabbat. That's what the statutes say. So how come Yahuah sent them quail on a Shabbat and told them they were going to be eating? Did he expect them to eat raw meat? Absolutely not. Go to the top box. Yahuah says here, see, I am raining bread to do what? In order to try them. He was going to give them a test, whether they would follow his command or not. How could the Hebrew nation fail the test if they hadn't been given the lesson? They couldn't. They must go through the lesson first in order to accomplish this test. Only after the test was done properly could Yahuah grade them on their efforts. Continuing on, and it came to be that the quails came up when? That evening on the Shabbat, and covered the camp, Exodus 16:13a. And in the morning, Boker, you'll notice that the pointer of this box points to the next day. What is it? It's the first day of the week. Why isn't it any other day of the week? Why could not the manna week start halfway through? And start this box again. And in the morning, the Boker, the dew lay all around the camp, Exodus 16:13b. And the layer of dew went up, and see, on the surface of the wilderness was a small round substance, as fine as the frost on the ground, Exodus 16:14. What is it? And Mosheh said to them, "It is the bread which Yahuah has given you to eat." Exodus 16, verse 15. Manna. The command is, gather it 6 days, but on the 7th, which is the Shabbat, there is none. How many days have I got counted out here in the green? Yes, there's 6. Simple little question, sounds kind of silly. But when we get to the end of the year, so we understand when the Tequfah is, this is paramount. This must be understood to perfection so that we understand the exact cycles of the week to the days of the month. This pattern here will be carried through to the Tequfah. These are the appointed times of the Exodus that display covenant calendar. The command was to gather manna for 6 cycles to achieve gathering the double portion on the preparation. Unless 5 cycles of gathering had been accomplished first, the double portion on the preparation could not be fulfilled. Why not? Because the command was they were to gather manna for 6 cycles. What if they started on, say, in pagan terms, on a Tuesday or a Wednesday, like some calendars demand? What would happen then? Did they gather 5 cycles before the preparation? No. Yahuwah said, you are to gather manna for 6 cycles. Unless those 5 cycles had been accomplished first, there would be no double portion on the preparation. Very important. The manna week cannot start in midweek as some calendars and some lunar ones require. How could Yahuwah give a partial lesson and then give them a grade on how they accomplished or went or passed this test? Wouldn't that be unfair? Yahuwah is not unfair in any way. He gave them a complete lesson and then he graded them. And we understood how that went. Not very well for some of them. They had worms in their manna. Covenant calendar achieves these timing appointments perfectly. These scriptural appointments are how covenant calendar was realized or formed. There are other calendars, namely one of them, the lunar, which declare that the 15th of this second month was a Shabbat, which conflicts with the scripture's documentation. For the Israelites to be fully tested on their obedience, a complete 6 cycles of picking manna must have been fulfilled before the Shabbat could occur. We have a picture of a pillar here, and written on it is manna. The manna week is one of the foundational pillars within the covenant. It is also a central stabilizing base within the calendar of Yahuwah. It is with the manna week that we determine and confirm the days of the week to the dates of the month and the days of the year. The manna week is a central stabilizing base. That is how important this manna week is. The covenant will be agreed to 3 times by the Hebrew nation before it is ratified in blood and sealed with the covenant meal on the mount. Now, a little bit of a side bunny trail here. If they will walk in my law or not, this was the test. If they will walk in my law, what law was there? How could it be law? Mount Sinai and the receiving of the stone tablets had not happened yet. The Aaronic priesthood with the Levitical tribe was not even commissioned yet. How can the Torah already be the guideline of Yahuwah to test the Israelites? What law was there that existed before Mount Sinai? Have you heard this argument before? Was there no law before Mount Sinai? In Exodus 18, we find that Mosheh was teaching the Hebrew nation. What was it that Mosheh was teaching from? Where was Mosheh receiving his instructions from? Did he make them up along the way? Or did he have an authority based in heaven where he received his instruction? Let's look at it. Exodus 18:16. When they have a matter, and yes, remember, he was questioned by his father-in-law, Jethro, and he was questioned, why are you working so hard all yourself, doing this all alone? What are you doing? You need to become more efficient. And this is Mosheh's response. When they have a matter, they come to me, and I rightly rule between one and another, and make known the laws of Elohim and his Tarot. That word laws is statutes, H2706. Very important statutes. The word laws, or Tarot, is 8451. Now, I specifically put this verse in here because, well, not specifically because of this word, but I think it works very, very well. I want you to understand that you do not need to be afraid of this word, because there is another worldly word that is very, very close to it, and it is evil. Yes, extremely evil. Yet it is only a replication, or what Satan has tried to duplicate. It is not actually a replication. Sorry, I shouldn't use that word. It is a false alarm. This word, tarot, the meaning of it is instructions. So within the Torah are many, many tarot. And you can see how it is spelled there, the phonic spelling, I should say. So this tarot is instructions. This is what Moshe was teaching his people, or the Israelite nation. Where did Moshe get these instructions? Clearly, Moshe knew about Yahuwah's order of righteousness, which existed long before creation. It was these same statutes and laws that in a short time Moshe would write down in the book of the covenant, even before receiving the tablets from Yahuwah on the mount. So what was it that Moshe wrote in the book of the covenant? We can read about that quite clearly in Exodus, just before it was sealed at Mount Sinai. Moshe wrote the original book of the covenant before he received the tablets from Yahuwah. Please note, the book of the law, the Aharonic priesthood, the temple services, and the substantial increase of sacrifices with oblations did not exist yet. Why not? They were not even around, and yet Moshe wrote the book of the covenant. Very important to notice. That's what he was teaching them. That is what the Israelites, or the Hebrew nation, were going to be tested on. So we're going to go forward now, and we're going to look at the manna again just a little bit. And on the sixth day, they gathered twice as much bread. That is your preparation for the Shabbat. Please look to the right of that number 6 in yellow. What do you see on the right in the column of the days of the month? Is that not the number 22? Look at the next day. What day of the week was it? It was a Shabbat. So how could that number 22 be a Shabbat? Is there a reason why I'm bringing this up? The lunar calendar declares that the 22nd of every month, without exception, must be a Shabbat. But what does Moshe say when they bring him the manna? What is his response? Tomorrow is a rest. He didn't say today. He said tomorrow is a rest, a Shabbat, Kodesh to Yahuwah. That which ye bake, bake. That which ye cook, cook. Exodus 16, verse 23. It was a preparation, and they were to cook and prepare for the Shabbat. And they laid it up till morning. Interesting. Morning. What does that mean? That means the dawn has passed, and it is a new day, the next day after the old. That is the 23rd. Keep me to task here. Make sure these numbers are correct. The 23rd was a 7th day Shabbat. starting in this box again. And they laid it up until morning, as Mosheh commanded, and it did not stink, and no worm was in it. And Mosheh said, eat it today, for what? Today is a Shabbat to Yahuwah. Today you do not find it in the field. Exodus 16, 24 to 26. So the people rested on the seventh day. That 23rd of the month was a seventh-day Sabbath. The 22nd is not. The 23rd is a seventh-day Sabbath. Please note which cycle of the week and month that Mosheh spoke these words. That arrow of this box is pointing to the 22nd. What does Mosheh say? Tomorrow is a rest, a Shabbat, Kodesh to Yahuwah. The 22nd was not a lunar Shabbat. I'll read that again. The 22nd was not a lunar Shabbat. What does that do to the lunar Shabbat calendar? And Moshe said, eat it today. Notice that arrow. It's on the seventh day Shabbat, the 23rd of the month. Excuse me. Eat it today, for today is a Shabbat to Yahuwah. Today, you do not find it in the field. Exodus 16, 24 to 26. We might note with intensity that the lunar Shabbat requirement of the 22nd is annihilated right here by Moshe's decree in the Exodus. Remember, this is the calendar format that the Hebrew nation agreed to 3 times before it was blood ratified and sealed with the meal at Mount Sinai. And Moshe said, today is a Shabbat, the 23rd, not the 22nd. Continuing on here. On the 3rd month, after the children of Israel had come out of Mitzrayim, on this day they came into the wilderness of Sinai. Exodus 19:1. Notice, day, not date. Very, very important. There are calendars that want to confuse you. They want to say that the scriptures means date, not day. And this causes a great problem with calendar. It causes a great problem with Moshe not being at Mount Sinai on the 50th day to receive the tablets. Is it important? Paramount. That's why I emphasize it. Day, not date. Keep me to task, people. We need to make sure that I'm doing this correctly, because otherwise we won't know which day of the week or which day of the year that the Tequfah is. So here we see 3 boxes. These boxes come down. And what does Moshe say on the first, or what does Yahuah say on the first day? The first of these 3. He says, go to the people and kadosh them today and tomorrow. Okay, they have 2 days to clean up. The first day is a preparation. That's a Friday in pagan terms, so we recognize it. Clean up your act today, wash your clothes, wash yourselves, wash whatever needs to be washed. And tomorrow, wash your internals spiritually. Prepare yourself on the Shabbat spiritually for what's going to happen. For on the 3rd day, Yahuwah shall come down upon Mount Sinai before the eyes of all the people. What is Shavuot? When is it? According to Leviticus 23, it's on the 1st day after the 7th day Sabbath. So I ask you, is it correct here? Is Shavuot the 50th day of the Omer count? Is it on the 1st day after the 7th day Sabbath? I believe it is. So let's continue on. Here's your 3 days again. What happened on that 3rd day? And it came to be on the 3rd day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud on the mountain and the sound of a ram's horn, very loud. And all the people who were in the camp trembled. And I believe that if I had been one in the camp, I believe my knees would have been very weak also. Right here, when we see the 50-day Omer count accomplished on the first day after the seventh-day Sabbath, that is a fulfillment of Leviticus 23:16. Every calendar must have this documented with perfection, for that is what is written in the scripture. And this is one of the appointments of how we are going to determine when the Tequfah is. And that is ultimately why we're doing this study here today. Moshe has received the Melchizedek order of righteousness written on tablets. With this priesthood, shouldn't there be a meeting place from which to conduct this covenant? What about this meeting place? Did Yahuah have a plan for the raising of the tabernacle? Was there a valid reason to wait until a specific cycle of the year to lay out the foundation for setting up the wilderness tabernacle? So I ask you, does Yahuah ever do anything willy-nilly? Does he just throw up a bag of popcorn and sees one that comes down and goes, oh, well, that's the day that we're going to raise the tabernacle? Or does Yahuah have a perfect plan, a reason for each and everything that he does? Why is it, or should I ask, is there a specific cycle of the year on which the foundation for the tabernacle could be laid out? Think about this. Is it done randomly, or is there a reason? Our answer will come near the end of this study, so look for it. Please note that the term tent of meeting from here on will be referencing the wilderness tabernacle. It will not be referencing Moshe's meeting place where he instructed the people prior to Mount Sinai. So moving on here, again, here is those 3 days leading up to Mount Sinai. And it is now time to expose the false Omer count. And we identify the false Omer count by the extended numbers of 49, or the other way that it is claimed, a 99 cycle Omer count of the Omer. So where does this 99 cycle count, where does it end up at? We're going to have, excuse me. We're going to have a look at this number count. So you'll see in that red column, the numbers, we're going to be counting to 50 or 49 or 50, however you want to look at it. There in the red box, let's keep counting to see where these extra 49 days extend to. So far, we have 28 extra counting days past Omer number 50. Again, we see the Omer count days. The 49th cycle of the second Omer count, the 7th completed week of the false Omer count, has been accomplished. What is next? What comes after the number 49? Can you guess? I think some of you might be surprised. I know we were. The golden calf. That second, or the false Omer count, 99 or 50, brings you to the golden calf. So when people observe this second Omer count, or the 99 count, however you want to categorize it, they are actually glorifying or celebrating or honoring the golden calf festival. Is this important to know? I think it is. The erroneously extended Omer count dogma accurately achieves identifying the exact cycle when Moshe came down from the mount. He shattered the tablets, illustrating his contempt after witnessing the festival of the golden calf. Moshe shattered the sapphire tablets, illustrating the obvious fracture the base revelers had forcefully imposed upon Yahuwah's covenant. the everlasting covenant was broken at the golden calf. When was it to be reestablished? That's for another day. But let's continue on. I want to point out in between these charts, beside the 30, you'll see a purple box, and it has written in it 5 times 30. So this is the 5th month, and it is the 5th time we see 30 days. You look on the right, and the cycles of the year are 150. So that's correct. That works out good. It's just another way to make sure these numbers are accurate and in alignment. So I want you to notice that as we go through these months, I will have these boxes up here. Notice the numbers. We must keep alignment. For the next several slides, we're going to keep counting Yahuwah's calendar to the 12th month and the 360th day. Will we see the Tequfah? Or is that next year? Here we are, month number 6, and we're still counting. Dig out your fingers. Let's start counting. What do we read here in Psalms 90:12? Teach us to number our days, and let us bring the heart to wisdom. On the left, you're going to see lots of numbers. Is that going to tell us when the Tequfah starts the year or if it finishes the year? Again, teach us to number our days and let us bring the heart to wisdom. On the left, you will see in month number 7, there is trumpets, atonement, and Sukkot. That is the pattern. Here we are, month number 7, month number 8. And month number 8, I like this little character. He looks like he's just discovered another truth of Yahuwah. Look at the excitement on his face. Number our days. I can do it. Month number 9, and still counting. Month number 10, and still counting. Look at the end of month number 10. 10 times 30, 300. Yeah, we're still in alignment. Let's keep going. Month number 11. We are getting close to month number 12. What's going to happen? Month number 12 coming up. Recent teachings have surfaced that declare the tabernacle was raised on a normal cycle of the week. That would be between what we declare in pagan terms as Sunday or preparation. It has been declared that the tabernacle was raised on one of these weekly days. The declaration is made that because the tabernacle was raised and it is deemed unacceptable work by man's standards, that it had to be a weekly cycle, and that the Tequfah was on the very day it was raised. The reasoning given is that the Tequfah shadow was used to orientate the tabernacle accurately. Now, I made a little discovery last night. I looked up this word orientate because I wanted to make sure that I had it spelled correctly. And I discovered something last night that I did not know. This word orientate means put in direction towards the east. Is that interesting? I think it's very interesting because the tabernacle was to face the east. Why? We're going to find out. Most certainly, the Tequfah shadow light was used to orient the foundation of the tabernacle. Let's look at it, shall we? Exodus 40, verse 17. Thus was the tabernacle reared up the first day of the first month in the 2nd year. And yes, that is the Geneva Bible, and it is Old English spelling. I absolutely love the Geneva. Is it hard to read? Yeah, a little bit. But the information that we can dig out of it is just incredible. I love it. So I would recommend it to anyone. Purchase that scripture and dig into it. It's a good reference. What physical reason? Yes, there is a physical reason. What physical reason caused Yahuwah to command the tent of meeting to be raised up on the first cycle of the 2nd year? Remember, Yahuah doesn't do things randomly. There is a reason. What is it? Why did Yahuah wait until the year end to prepare? Notice that key that says Yod He Vav He, Yahuah, beside prepare. I'll start again. Why did Yahuah wait until the year end to prepare? That would be to stake out the foundation for the tent of meeting. Why? What reasoning would he have to be prepared? Why was there only one highly specific cycle of the Shana year upon which the foundation for the dwelling place could be accurately oriented? Why? Which cycle is it? Could this factor tie in with the Tequfah shadow light? Would the Tequfah render pertinent information for laying the wilderness tabernacle foundation on the last cycle of the year? Or is it the first? Let's look at it. Might the Tequfah shadow have corresponded appropriately on a preparation cycle, being immediately before the raising of the tent of meeting? What would the Tequfah do on a preparation? What could Mosheh do with that Tequfah shadow? Why would it be a preparation? Or is it? Have we been noticing that Yahuah purposely organizes the preparation days perfectly, being immediately before very important events? Is there a preparation lesson to be learned here? Okay, let's look at it. What do you see? A preparation. On the 6th, that is a 6th cycle of the week, the day before the 7th day Shabbat. The Tequfah. Why is there a Tequfah on the 360th day of the year? Why? I find this absolutely amazing, what is going to be revealed here. The Tequfah is the last cycle of the year, 360. On this preparation, please note the terminology. On this preparation, Mosheh staked out the measurements on the ground. How? According to the shadow light for proper tent of meeting orientation. Why would Yahuah do this on a preparation? Why would he not do it randomly? Well, I think it's fully expected because Yahuah teaches us to be prepared. What was the manna week? We are to gather, or they were to gather manna for 6 days, and on Friday, or the 6th cycle, there would be a double portion. They were to be prepared. Would not Yahuah be prepared also? Would he not command Moshe to be prepared also? Moshe does not change, or Yahuah does not change his patterns. The importance of orienting, interesting word, where it turns to the direction of the east. The importance of orienting the dwelling place accurately is clearly understood from Solomon's temple. The orientation was specifically to determine the cycle of the Tequfah. The light of the sun on the Tequfah cycle was to enter into the Kodesh place. We understand this from Solomon's temple with the 2 entrance pillars of Yachin and Boaz. Solomon's temple was designed to specifically determine which day was the Tequfah, for on that day the light entered through those pillars into the Kodesh place. Is it important that the temple was aligned accurately? The Tequfah is the last cycle of the year, 360. On this preparation, Mosheh staked out the measurements on the ground according to the shadow light for proper tent of meeting orientation. So, on the next cycle, what was the command? It was Yahuwah's Shabbat. And what was Yahuwah's command? Raise the tabernacle. Exodus 40, verse 2. Did Yahuwah forget that it was his Shabbat? Did he make a mistake? Was there a problem here? Or did Yahuwah know this from the foundation of the earth at creation? Was this all planned by Yahuwah? Remember, Yahuwah knows everything forward and backwards. He does not make mistakes, nor does he change. Yahuwah's work raised the tent of meeting on his premier moed. Please look where this red box points. Number 1. That is the first day of the year. We go to the left, we'll see it is the first day of the month. It is the New Year's cycle, number 1. And it is what day of the week? It is a Shabbat, the 7th day cycle. What was the day before? It was a preparation. Is there any chance that the Tequfah happened on a preparation so that Mosheh could use the shadow light to stake out the foundation of the tabernacle, or the wilderness tabernacle, accurately, so that the doors of the tabernacle allowed the Tequfah light to enter, exactly as Solomon's tabernacle? Yahuwah says, I do not change. Would there be a difference between the tent of meeting here and Solomon's tent, or Solomon's tabernacle? Yahuwah says, I do not change. So when is the Tequfah? Here we see it was on a preparation day. Just as the showbread was commanded to be renewed on Shabbat morning, yes, the showbread was commanded to be renewed on a Shabbat morning. That is work. The tabernacle also was commanded to be raised up on the Shabbat. Do we have something to learn about works of righteousness? Can these works of righteousness be done on the Shabbat day? Is there a difference between our work and Yahuwah's work? This was the commanded will of Yahuwah, his works of righteousness, to raise the temple to be done by man on his Shabbat. And there's no problem here, for Yahuwah commanded it. This is his will. And we need to learn more about what his will is. So the Tequfah was on the 360th day of the year. It was on the 6th cycle. It was a preparation, allowing Mosheh to prepare the foundation for the raising of the tabernacle. Is this not a 6th cycle, a preparation? Be prepared is what the scriptures teach through and throughout Yahuwah's word, from beginning to end. Do you think Mosheh understood this? I think he was pretty clear. Mosheh might have arranged for someone to pick his double portion of manna on that preparation cycle. That way, he and the other men could prepare the foundation measurements of the tabernacle by what? By the Tequfah shadow light. Aren't we commanded to look to the light? Is not a shadow a level of light? Mosheh was not on a knee-jerk scramble to raise the tabernacle as the shadow event was occurring. I have heard that the tabernacle was raised on the day of the Tequfah. How come then did Yahuwah not make it so Mosheh could be prepared? Why would Mosheh have to be on a mad scramble to lay out the foundation and raise the tabernacle on the same day? Why? Yahuwah is all about preparation. Mosheh prepared the foundation according to the Tequfah shadow. That next cycle was the seventh day Shabbat, and Mosheh was fully prepared, and he acted with precision on Yahuwah's plans and that were made for the previous cycle. And what was that previous cycle? It was the Tequfah, on preparation. Exodus 40, verse 2. On the first day of the first month, you are to raise up the dwelling place of the tent of meeting. Was there a reason that Yahuwah commanded that day for the raising of the dwelling place? Did he take into consideration that there must be a preparation done first before the tent of meeting, Yahuwah's dwelling place, was raised? And Moshe did according to all that Yahuwah had commanded him. So he did. And it came to be on the first month of the second year, on the first day of the month, that the dwelling place was raised up. Hallelujah. You might say this one example does not prove anything because the scriptures demand 2 or 3 witnesses at the least. Be very certain that there are multiple Tequfah witnesses coming very soon. The PowerPoints are laid out, the information is there, and they will be delivered to you very soon. More witnesses that the Tequfah is the 360th day of the year, or today in the 365th day, the Tequfah is the 365th day until such time as we go back to the 360-day year of what prophecy has claimed will be. Are you ready for a 360-day year? What will you do and who will you think of when we go back to a 360-day year? Who has control of the year? Is it the Pope, as has been claimed, or is it Yahuwah? Meanwhile, let's continue our search to see what else happens in the second year. We have highlighted one sledgehammer effect to the Lunar Shabbat calendar. We saw that in slides 18 and 19, where the 22nd of the month was not a Lunar Shabbat, as claimed by their calendar, not according to the scriptures. Would it be interesting to view another problem of the Lunar Shabbat calendar, especially if the scriptures say it, declare it, and reveal it? Let's look at it. Here we are. Here is the first month of the second year. Now I'm going to go on to a tiny bit of a bunny trail here. Here we are. I want you to look on the very left of the Passover, and you're going to see that Passover was on the 6th cycle in this second year in the wilderness. The 6th cycle. Interesting that when Joshua, or let's go back to Passover Mitzrayim. Passover in Mitzrayim was on a 3rd cycle, or Tuesday as we know it. When Joshua went into Canaan, Passover was on a 7th-day Sabbath. In this account here, Passover in the second year of the wilderness was on a 6th cycle. That's a Friday in pagan terms. And in the year that Yahushua was crucified, Passover was on a 4th cycle, or a Wednesday in pagan terms. There is 4 different examples of the Passover being on a different cycle of the week. I ask you, what does that do to the fixed calendars like the Lunar Shabbat calendar and the Enoch calendar that demand Passover must be on a certain cycle of the week each and every year without exception? What does that do to them? Okay, let's continue on. Just a little bunny trail, but a very, very important one. Unleavened bread, the 15th to the 21st. But look, Shabbat on the 15th, 27, and 29, exactly as the Lunar Shabbat or Shabbat calendar requires. How come we have Shabbats according to the lunar calendar requirement? Look 15, 22nd, and 29. We verify it. Can we expect the same fixed Moedim next month as the Lunar Shabbat requirement demands? Is it going to be the same month after month? Yahuah declares of his patterns, I shall not change, Malachi 3:6. And I ask you, will Yahuwah's pattern change with the Shabbat next month? That would be the second month of the second year in the wilderness. Let's look at it. Besides those asterisks, we see 6, 13, and 20. Those are the Shabbats of the second month in the wilderness. The Shabbat pattern here is different than the fixed 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th lunar requirement. It's different. Is it possible that the fixed lunar Shabbat requirement did not originate from Yahuah? I say count on it, because there is a massive amount of evidence towards that. But we're going to move forward here, and we're going to have a lunar look at Numbers 10, or a Numbers 10 study about Yahuwah's cloud. So what you're going to see next is a little insert we've taken from the Numbers 10 study and the cloud. I'd like to bring your attention to this picture that Jeanette brought to me. Here we see, on the left, we see a dark spot, and that represents the conjunction of the moon. And there is pictures taken every day at the set time of the phase of the moon at that time. Count the phases, each phase, up to the top right-hand corner. How many do you get? I'll give you a minute to count them quickly. How many phases of the moon do you see? Well, the answer is pretty clear. It says 27 at the conjunction on the top right-hand corner. Why is there only 27? This is a sidereal lunar circuit. Why is it 27? Because that is what Yahuah has created in the sky. That is his designation according to Ecclesiastes 1:5. A circuit is from point of origin to point of origin. That's what it says in Ecclesiastes 1:5. So the question now arises, where are the sequential 28 to 29.5 moon phases? And how would we determine a decimal point phase, as in 29.5? Does Yahuah operate with decimal points? Or does man? Where is that 29.5 moon phase? Is it in the same month, or is it in the next circuit? The 29.5 circuit declared by man is a false declaration. The synodic circuit has been, or is a contamination of man. It has been extended by man. It is not according to Yahuwah's calendar. It is wrong. But let's go look forward here. Anyhow, it's just an interesting picture. I like it quite a bit. I love looking at the moon. It's a beautiful object Yahuah has created, and its importance is incredible for our agricultural section of this earth. And we thank Yahuah for the moon. However, it is not a light that can separate the day from the night. It fails that immediately, that command from Genesis 1:14. It cannot separate the light from the night. Therefore, it is not one of the two great lights. And you can talk to me more about that later if you choose. Again, let's question, where are the sequential moon phases for 29.5? Where are they? They do not exist. Moving forward, the function of the cloud. Numbers 9:19. Even when the cloud lingered many days above the dwelling place, the children of Israel guarded the charge of Yahuah and did not depart. Verse 20, and so it was, when the cloud was above the dwelling place a few days, according to the command of Yahuwah, they camped. And according to the command of Yahuwah, they would not depart. And so it was, when the cloud dwelt only from evening until morning, when the cloud was taken up in the morning, then they departed, whether by day or by night. Whenever the cloud was taken up, they departed. The Shabbat of Yahuwah. This is the question that we're going to be looking at when the cloud departed. The Shabbat of Yahuwah requires a rest from our servile work processes. We have just learned that on Yahuwah's Shabbat, we can perform the work of righteousness as Yahuwah so commands us. The question I have, did Yahuwah also have the Yisraelite nation travel on the Shabbat, looking for a resting place? The 3-cycle journey, Numbers 10, verse 33. So they set out from the mountain of Yahuwah on a journey of 3 days. And the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah went before them for the 3 days' journey. Note, it's a 3 days journey. They did not stop in the middle. A 3 days journey. Why were they going? They were to seek out a resting place for them. Yet they had already left a resting place. Why were they going to seek another one? Will this very specific 3-cycle journey support the Lunar Shabbat calendar? Or will the lunar system again be exposed as a false doctrine? What do the scriptures say? Before we continue, it's a reminder. The Lunar Shabbat calendar demands their Sabbaths on the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and 29th of their lunar phase calculated months. This is without exception. This is for each and every month in their calendar. The scripture has a lot of problem with this, but let's have a look at it on this travel, on this 3 days journey. Numbers 10:11. And it came to be on the 20th day of the second month, in the second year, that the cloud was taken up from above the dwelling place of the witness. The 20th day of the second month. Now they were to begin their 3 days travel. What problems are we going to run into here? I should not say we. What problems is the Lunar Shabbat calendar going to run into? On the left, you'll see those 3 black boxes in the chart. Look beside number 2. What do you see? Highlighted in yellow is the number 22. Is this a problem? On the right, I'm going to read this box. The 3 cycles of travel included the 21st, the 22nd, and 23rd cycles of the month. They were already in a resting place, and Yahuwah wanted them to find another resting place. This was an exercise in obedience. Would Yahuwah then have them travel on the 7th-day Sabbath, looking for a resting place when they had already had one? Remember, that 22nd of the month is declared to be a 7th-day Sabbath by the Lunar Shabbat calendar. So is this what the scriptures say? If we look on the left side under the cycles of the week, that 22nd of the month was a second cycle or a Monday in this event, in this year, the second year of the wilderness. Why was it not a lunar Shabbat? Did Mosheh forget? Did he fail? No. Mosheh was trained in all the wisdom of the Mitzrites. Mosheh knew the Tequfah started the year. Mosheh knew when Abib 14 in Mitzrayim was. Mosheh knew when the quail arrived, the next morning was the manna, starting the 7 cycles. that they were to see the seventh-day Sabbath arrive after the double portion on preparation. Moshe knew this. Moshe knew in this account that the 22nd was not a lunar Shabbat, not according to Yahuah. It is not a fixed Shabbat, according to Yahuah. Can a Shabbat, a seventh-day Sabbath, land on the 22nd of the month? By all means. But it is not a fixed Shabbat, according to Yahuah. What impact does this have on the lunar Shabbat calendar? I hope that little red picture gives enough emphasis to what the scriptures do to the lunar Shabbat calendar. This is just one of many, many examples. The first cycle of the second year was a Shabbat. The command was to raise up the dwelling place of Yahuwah. Thus they carried out the command of righteousness. Here in the wilderness, the cloud lifted, and the nation of Israel had to pack up their belongings, burden their pack animals, and pack up their tent of appointment. Women, children, and men had to walk 3 days with their personal burdens and move their livestock to find another resting place. Was moving their personal residences an act of righteousness on the 22nd, the supposed lunar Shabbat? Where do we find a written example of the Hebrew nation traveling on a Shabbat? So we have just seen some severe problems with the lunar Shabbat calendar. And we have just seen that the Tequfah was on the last day of the year, number 360 in this time. Today, it is on 365. And the day after the Tequfah is the new year. And yes, I will mention again, there is much more evidence of this coming out. The PowerPoints are done. They need fine tuning. And you will see and understand unequivocally that the Tequfah is on the final day of the year. It completes its circuit and it initiates by the completion, the next day being the first day of the new year. So I say here, don't let tradition box you in. Don't let people tell you what to think, including me. Take me to task. Take these numbers to task. The scripture says, teach us to number our days. Take these numbers, crash them out, put your scriptures beside you, bring up the verses, and make sure that I'm telling you what is written in the scriptures. And if it's not, tell me, please, ASAP, and I will change it. And I say, may Yahuwah bless you greatly with wisdom, peace, and courage. Shalom to each and one of you on this Shabbat. And I thank you for your time for joining me. I appreciate it. I know how precious time is. And may Yahuwah bless you on this Shabbat.